everyone. Welcome to another episode of Fashion Corner. It's myself, Irema, and your Janet. And today we have another guest with us, Denise. She actually was a classmate of ours when we were at Toronto Film School. And today she's going to be talking to us about, her fashion business and everything that has to do with performance, designing, right? So without further ado, I'm going to give the floor to Denise to introduce herself. Hi, Denise.
Hi, guys. It's nice seeing you guys. I haven't seen you.
Yeah, such a long time.
So my name is Denise, and I run two separate brands right now. One is called Dee Designs, and that's where I do all of my costume stuff. So anything for Caravana, Trinidad Carnival, Barbados Crop Over, anything to do with that stuff, that falls under Dee Designs. And recently I've launched a kind of streetwear brand called Side Eye Clothing. This is one of the shirts that you can kind of
nice.
See clothing. So that's more like t-shirts, long sleeve tees. I'm working on getting some track pants and all that fun stuff. So
oh, cool. You're very busy.
Not as busy as I usually be, but it's keeping me kind of busy so far. So yeah,
that's great. That's great. So, Janet.
Okay, so I'll move on to the next question. So Denise, I'd like you to tell us how you got into fashion and performance wear, because I remember while we were in school, your focus, you knew from the start that you were doing, performance wear. So I knew that your collection was basically all about that. Like, I should look for the picture from the fashion show, with the wings and everything.
Yes, I hope you.
If you have pictures, please send them to us. So yes, it seems that like from the beginning, before you went to fashion school, you had an idea of what you were going to do. So can you please tell us how you got into this
segment?
Yeah, so in terms of the costume stuff and the we call it mass, I've been playing mass since I was like really, really small. It's something like in the Caribbean culture, it's something that you do from the time that you're really, really small. So I actually started making it when my cousins decided they were going to start making it. So I just kind of was like, the little cousin kind of like, oh, well, I want to help too. And eventually I was like, well, I really like doing this. Maybe I should just look into doing this full time. So at the time I was actually teaching. And when the summer came, I was then making costumes and stuff. I love designing them. I was like, okay, cool. I can design them, but I still have to get somebody to like make the bras for me, make, belts for me if I needed to make belts, or make, if I want like t-shirts or if I want swimsuit bottoms or whatever, I have to get somebody else to make them for me. So eventually I was just like, you know what? I kind of feel like I could do more if I could just do it myself. So I started looking around, and eventually TFS was the go-to for me, because I was like, it's 18 months, so that means it's gonna go by quick, right? I don't have to be in school for another like 3 years. 3 years. Yeah, this was like, it was the fastest option, and it was the best option for me for sure. So yeah, that's kind of how I ended up at TFS, and like it worked out for the better, because now I don't have to pay somebody else to make all of these things. I can just do it myself.
I'm sure there's no one that went to TFS that doesn't have that as a reason as well. That's like the catch. Like 18 months, yes. I don't have to go for a degree program.
Exactly.
Especially if you have a degree previously.
Exactly. And I had my undergraduate, and I had my teacher's degree and everything. So I had already been at school for like 5 years. I was like, I don't want another.
You don't want to go another like 4 or 3 years, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. So you actually answered our second question. So we're just gonna like get to the next, right? So basically, what is involved in running a seasonal business like Dee Designs? Because your you have a lot of orders during the summer period, right?
Yeah.
So, how, that's quite seasonal. How do you, ensure that you make a profit? Like, tell us.
Yeah, so the way that it works for Caravana specifically, so here in Toronto for Caravana, we have different bands, so for example, the last two bands I worked with one called Fantasia and one called Epic Mass. So these bands, they're like the overall brand, and then within that band you have different sections. And each section, one person is in control of each section. They design it, they are in charge of producing it and everything. That's like you pick your prices, you decide if you want to do really, really big, extravagant wings, then that's on you, right?
Yeah.
It's up to you to make sure that all of that stuff gets done. So how it works is I go with a band. I produce my stuff, I design my stuff. Obviously, it has to be okay with we call them the band leader. They have to like okay your design and everything, make sure that it fits the theme. And then from there, you start taking orders. So anybody that wants your section, they can order through the band or they can come directly to you and order, right? So you have to kind of know what your limitations are, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it helps if you have a team. So I have a couple of people that are super helpful, my team members. We put everything together, we make sure, like, if I know that I've got, 20 bras to do or 50 bras to do, then I might have to do those 50 bras, but then I get somebody else to do, the leg pieces. If I have the feather collars that we use, then I'll get somebody else to do the feather collars if necessary, right? So it's kind of, it can be a lot of work. It is a lot of work. I shouldn't say can be. It is a lot of work.
I can imagine.
Yeah, but it works best if you have, at least two or three other people helping you out. Some of the bands here, they take like, you end up with like thousands of people in the band. So your one section might have 200 and something people.
Wow.
Obviously, those are bigger bands. Those teams have, more than like 4 people, but I've been only really working with the smaller bands. So it's been like 4 of us working on things. So it's been difficult. And then like, you just got to figure out where you're getting your supplies from as well. Cause like for here, I specifically do like kids sections for here in Toronto. So I have to make sure that I've got the little girl tank tops. I've got to make sure they've got their shorts. If, we're doing a whole feather thing for them, I got to make sure that's done. If I'm doing a bodysuit, need to make sure that I do all of that. So it's just sitting down and figuring out, okay, how much fabric do we need to make all of this? How many feathers and so forth. So it's, when it's good, it's really good. But then there are times like when I was first starting out, my first section, I was hoping to have like at least 20 kids in it and I only had 4. So obviously I didn't do too well that year, but if you give them, a costume that they love, as well as like
they'll come back,
experience on the road, they'll come back for sure. So
yeah,
that's what that's been the biggest issue. Well, not issue, that's been like, that's how to succeed pretty much. Yeah.
So from everything you said, you have quite a lot of creative control over like, how it comes out and everything. And so, yeah,
for sure. So, because the band will come up with a theme. So, last year, the theme for Fantasia was rebirth. And I was working with some other people. And so, the theme for our section, they decided that it was going to be Phoenix, right? So they designed the adult section and they had the colors picked out and everything. So for me, it was really just kind of taking those colors and,
developing
wild. Making sure that when you look at my kid's costume, it kind of feels like a phoenix, right? Versus the year before that, the theme was a little more open and I had way more control because they decided, I believe the theme for the band was called Can Boule. So it had to do with like the origins of Trinidad Carnival.
Oh.
So I decided right from the get-go, I was like, okay, well, I'm doing a dragon. And so I got to pick all of my colors and everything. And just, I got to go wild, but like it was completely my idea. Because from the beginning, I was like, I'm doing a dragon. It's going to look like a dragon. It's going to be black and gold. And everybody was kind of like, oh, it's the kids section. Are you sure you should do it in black? And I had like almost 40 kids on the road that year.
Wow.
They absolutely love this black and gold. So yeah, the more control I have, the better it goes for me.
Okay.
That's like quite interesting, like, you know, knowing everything about the process, everything that goes into, you know, developing a performance wear. You know, I go to Caribana, I've gone twice now, I think.
Oh, I've gone once, yeah.
And get you guys costumes. That's what we gotta do. We gotta get you guys costumes.
Yeah. And do you know, for years I've been planning to go to Barbados for Caribana for years. Literally. Yes, we do need to do that.
I would love to as well. I would love to just wear my feathers.
Wear the outfit and shake it.
Yes.
Okay, so let's move to the next question. So we know what has been going on in the world since March. You know, I'm even tired of saying. I think I forgot what the virus is called now. Oh, it's COVID. Yes.
Oh my God.
So with the pandemic going on, how has your business been affected? Because I know that yours is kind of seasonal, and this year, Caribana is usually in August, right?
Yes.
But there was no Caribana this year because, you know, Caribana is not a place where you can social distance. You know?
Exactly. It's
not. You have to, you know, move with people. So I understand the canceling, like, yeah, they had to cancel that. But how has that affected your business, the pandemic, the restrictions and everything?
So basically, it's put a complete halt to it. Actually, I was in the middle of developing costumes for, I also do Montreal Carnival. So when January, February, March, I'm usually focused completely on Montreal Carnival. So I actually was in the middle of finishing up my costumes for Montreal, and then the stores where I buy all of my stuff from started closing, and I was like, oh, okay. So that put a complete halt to that because Montreal Carnival did not happen. It usually happens the early July, so that didn't happen. Then Caribana didn't happen, and so now everything's kind of like at a complete halt. I'm hoping that, you know, things will get better sooner than later, so that I can start back working on stuff, because usually ideas start running around in my head for next year, usually around September, October. So this has been very, very interesting thus far. So yeah, it's been difficult for Dee Designs. It's been very difficult because it's been like a complete standstill pretty much. And I can't really do much about it other than like sit and wait.
Because your segment is kind of like a niche, right?
Exactly. So because as long as there's no carnivals happening, there isn't really anything
that much production happening.
Exactly, right? I'll have like I've had one or two people reach out to me looking for some wire bras, but then I think they were planning to wear them to Jamaica Carnival, which got pushed back from April to October. But I think they're starting to realize that might not even happen. So even that has just been halted.
That's like really sad. But like, we know businesses
are suffering right now.
Businesses were super affected by this. I know a lot of people that lost their jobs. But the good thing though, you were able to start your other business at this period, right? So on the brighter side.
exactly, because I wanted to start the clothing line. Once we started doing everything at school, I was like, oh, okay, maybe I will start a clothing line. But then I got so involved in doing all of the math stuff and everything that it just kind of sat on the back burner because it was like, I don't really have time to do this right now. And so, not being at work at all, once March, April hit, and I was like, well, maybe I'll just start the clothing line because there's nothing else for me to do.
This is not telling you that start that streetwear brand,
Yeah, so it worked. It kind of worked out, I guess. It's given me a break that I haven't had in like years. Like usually when summer hits, I'm going like nonstop. I'm just going and going and going. You guys remember when I was at school and like I would come in and I'd look exhausted because I'm doing so much other stuff. So this was the first summer where like I
just got to rest.
Like it's summer and I don't have to be somewhere. So
that's cool.
So I was able to start this line, and this one's going pretty well so far. So
okay, that's good. So do you intend to expand to other kinds of performance, costume design, considering that
I've been thinking about it because what I have right now, I always say there's a carnival happening somewhere, like before this, obviously, because in the Caribbean, it's always warm, so you don't have to wait for it to warm up to have a carnival like how we have to do here. So I was working on getting into more and more carnivals so that I'd be doing it year round, and it was slowly picking up, and then this happened. So I'm not 100% sure about like getting into other, like carrying my brand into other
streaming ventures, like film or stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure how well that would work out for me. But last year I actually got to work with Cirque, and that was really
really tell us how that went. How did that go?
Right, give us the tea on that.
Yeah, exactly, because like theater, like performers type of
so it worked out really well because a lot of the materials that their costumes are made out of, I know how to work with those materials.
Yeah.
It's a lot of mesh, it's a lot of spandex, I know how to sew all of that stuff already.
Yeah.
Wow, there was a lot of, putting jewels on stuff, and I was like, oh, I know how to do this already. So that was
what really, I do.
Really cool. So
that's super cool. You should put that on your resume. Make sure you put that.
Oh yeah, it is. As soon as I got the job, I was like, change the resume.
Yeah.
Super cool, though. Girl, really I'm so proud of you. Like I'm so proud. You're doing amazing things. Exciting.
So yeah, I was also in talks to go with them, to work with them in Montreal on the new show that they had just opened, but then everything shut down. Yeah, so this COVID thing has really just kind of put a complete
what I
halt.
think? You're thinking that you might not be getting into. I think once in a while you will have the opportunity, like that one came to work on projects like that. It might not be like,
and like even like theater here in Toronto, like even like theaters here in Toronto, you should kind of like look into it. You never know,
Yeah, once
like all the projects, just
once everything like starts to go back to normal, I'm gonna start looking into more things more and more. So we'll see where things go. You never know, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the next question is, where do you see your career in 5 years?
So I'm hoping in 5 years everything has, gone back to normal.
To a semblance of normal.
Yeah. Exactly. As long as like carnivals start happening again, I will be making carnival costumes. One thing that I do want to do in the upcoming years. I had plans to start asking around about it this year, but obviously that didn't happen. You know, the really, really big costumes that people wear, we call them the king
The
and queen
floats?
costumes.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that are like they're kind of like the floats. They've got wheels and you got to pull them.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to build one of those, or like be involved in designing and building one of those. So I'm hoping things will go back to normal. Then in the next 5 years, I'll, you know, have had a chance to do something like that, because those are like one-offs, and you know, you do that and the person only wears it once, and then it has to be taken down and everything, but it's on such a large scale. It's something that I've always wanted to do. So I'm hoping, fingers crossed, that things will go back to normal and I'll get the opportunity to do that. I'm also hoping that this streetwear brand starts to take off further and further and further. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'm just hoping for, you know, like basic success at this point.
Yeah. I'm sure you will definitely get it. You're already like on your way to like amazing things. And just the last question before we like go. So what advice would you give someone who's interested in getting into, you know, like design, costuming, especially like performance costuming and, you know, like carnival costuming?
So in terms of like like honestly, just do it. Right? Don't question yourself. Don't, you know, oh well, maybe it won't go so well, maybe I won't be able to do this. Just do it. Like take the dive. You know, if you don't try, you can't succeed, right?
Exactly.
So you just gotta do it. If you just want to kind of dip your foot in it, you know, just test the waters. Talk to people that know anything about it. So if you know that you want to make costumes, like I was extremely blessed because my cousins were the ones that were making it before me. But if you don't know anybody specifically that makes costumes, if you go to a mass camp or you email one of the bands and say, hey, I'm kind of interested in getting into this, how do I, like, what should I do? Most definitely, people are always looking for volunteers to help them. You can go, you can volunteer, they will tell you what to do. Almost everybody in this community is very arms open, like, okay, you want to learn? Come on in, let's learn, let's teach you how to do it, right? So if you're gonna do it, just do it.
Just reach
Just
out.
do it.
We've been getting a lot of that recently.
Just do it.
We've been getting a lot of that recently. Like, you know, people coming on the show to tell people that when we ask that, oh, what's your advice? It's like, just do it. You know, just go out there. Stop. Don't worry about it not working out. Give it your best and hope for the best, right?
Yeah.
I'm even thinking I'm actually like, you know, when things get back to normal, I'm actually like come and help you out sometimes, you know. It's interesting, it's really creative.
Any help?
I remember back in school I wanted to help out, but that didn't work out. I volunteered, but I never showed up. I remember that day was snowing.
Yeah, it was snowing really bad that day. Yeah.
I think something happened. I couldn't go. But yeah, definitely would love to help out one of these days and see how you create in your space, you know, and probably even do a video of this.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
that would be cool.
Let me know. Just let me know. Let me know.
Definitely.
Yeah. But really, it was amazing having you today, Denise. Thank you so much for the knowledge you've shared about, you know, performance design and costume. Thank you so much. And guys, please do not forget to leave your comments, like, subscribe, share with your friends. If you know anyone that is interested in doing performance wear, we got the performance guru right here to give you all the tips and whatnot. So you guys, please leave your comments below and don't forget to subscribe to our channel.
Yeah, and put on your notification button on so you know when we drop videos.
Sure.
Till next time.
Bye.